everyone, I'm Aditya Shekhar, your mentor. We are here to begin our LSAT India Powerplay session. Hope you enjoyed and had fun when it comes to the CLAT Powerplay session which happened and the ELIT Powerplay session which subsequently followed it. We are here to talk about LSAT India. We will be firstly discussing with respect everything related to LSAT India, and we in fact have brought one of the LSAT India toppers, Kiran as well. So he will also be joining us in another 10 minutes. And then we will be following it with Nachiket's Sir Analytical Reasoning session. So before we move ahead, let me show you the kind of activities which we have planned when it comes to LSAT India Park Play session. So 16th March, which is today, we will be having a sample paper solving analytical reasoning 2021 strategy is something which we are looking at. That will be taken by Nachiket sir. 17th March, which is tomorrow, we'll have logical reasoning and RC 2021 strategy. And then 18th March, we'll have a All India Open LSAT India mock. So this will be a free mock, can be taken by IMS, non-IMS student. So feel free to ask your non-IMS friends if they are interested in going ahead with a LSAT India mock to take this examination. And then we will follow it on the next day with LSAT mock test solving. So the mock which you had given on 18th March, that will be solved on a live platform on 19th of March. All of this under IMS GSL. So this is the Powerplay session. For those of your friends who have not registered, ask them or please share the links with them, right? Now, when it comes to the colleges, this has already been covered in the form filling session, guys. So this is the first, of course, comes Jindal Global Law School, which gives you an amazing platform to go ahead and study law. We have a few other colleges as well. So NYMS Mumbai also take admission through LSAT India. The number of seats are 120 for BLLB and BBLLB, and the program fee is 1.75 lakhs. And then we also have a few other law schools such as UPES, VIT, Adam Mass, Manav Rachna, Bennett University, BML, Munjar. Now, I'm not going ahead into the details of these universities. In fact, when it comes to the details of Jindal, precisely why we have brought Kiran, which is who is I'm a student and studying with Jindal Global Law School right now. So he will be guiding you with respect to the kind of exam which LSAT India is and his experience in the first year of Jindal. Right. When it comes to the test pattern, just for all of you, this is the test pattern which we are looking at. 23 questions, analytical reasoning, logical reasoning, 22 questions. 1 and 2 are the two broad categories, and then we have RC 24 questions, so around 92 questions to be solved in 2 hours 20 minutes. So this is more or less the kind of basic pattern which you are supposed to take LSAT India. Now we are here on a very important mission. We are supposed to understand LSAT India and then probably go ahead with the strategy session. So without wasting any further time of yours, let me introduce you to Kiran, who is currently a student in Jindal Global Law School and will be guiding you when it comes to LSAT India and other important things related to LSAT India. So welcome to the show, Kiran.
Hi everyone, good evening. My name's Kyron and I'm in my first year of law school at Jindal Global Law School as already said. So I was a student at IMS India for 2 years. I'd enrolled for the CLAT UG 5-year program, but again, as all of you must know, like IMS does not really restrict you just to CLAT. And so it was a 2-year program, and so when I first enrolled in IMS, I entered IMS with the mindset of taking the CLAT and getting into the top NLUs, and just I had that as my main goal in mind. But as the months went by and as I came to know more about law schools, Jindal definitely piqued my interest. So the thing about Jindal is, as I think all of you know by now, is that it does not accept students based on the CLAT. It has a different exam called the LSAT India, and you have to enroll separately for that. And so I had enrolled for all examinations, including the LSAT in February. and but my focus was still on CLAT, right? And that's the important thing that I'm here to tell you. You do not really need to have months of preparation for the LSAT. The LSAT is something that honestly you can study for in a week. So from my own experience, I studied for the LSAT in less than 10 days. The exam was somewhere towards the end of July, and I just started studying around I think like the 10th or so of July, and it went really well. I got a 98.19 percentile in the LSAT, and I got into Jindal after that. So I'm here to share with you what my preparation strategy was for the LSAT, how I prepared for it in so less time, and hopefully y'all can also get something out of this and um, see what fits, see what's right for you, and see how you can adapt my strategy for you. So this is how I prepared for the LSAT in less than 10 days. So the thing about LSAT, right, is that it's very different from the rest of the competitive law examinations. So with CLAT, you have the components of English and logic, obviously, but then you also have math and GK. LSAT does not have math or GK. It purely tests your English and logical reasoning and analytical reasoning skills. So you do not need any preparation. You do not need any, I wouldn't say preparation. You don't need any knowledge really for the LSAT, right? It's something that tests your aptitude more than anything else. So you do not need to sit in front of a computer and note down GK, fact bites, or whatever. You don't need to sit and practice maths for the LSAT. It's really it's one of the better at that's and I'm not really the best at maths or GK for that matter, and that's why I really like the LSAT exam as well. So that's just something to just like a very brief introduction to the LSAT. So as I think most of you will know by now, the LSAT is again an MCQ format. It's 2 hours 20 minutes. It doesn't have any negative marking, and it's approximately 92 questions. So that's 92 questions that you have to fully finish in 2 hours 20 minutes. It's divided into one second. It's divided into four sections. So you have the English, the reading comprehension section. You have two logical reasoning sections, and you have one analytical reasoning section. And here, I just wanted to get this out before I fully begin with my presentation. If you'll have any questions, just drop it in the chat box, and or make note of it and ask me later, and I will address them towards the end of my presentation. So the main skills you need for the LSAT, right, are reading comprehension, logical deduction, critical thinking, and you need to have well above average reading speed. So the thing about LSAT is that while it's not really a time constrained, as it's not as time constrained as say the CLAT, for example, which you really have to hurry up with. The LSAT is slightly more relaxed. It definitely still does test your speed, so you cannot slack throughout the paper and just take your own sweet time and do the questions as if like it's not being timed. You have to be quick um with your reading and with your analysis and with your critical thinking and all of that. So the most important skill that I think, apart from speed, that the LSAT tests is your reading comprehension ability. So if you're one of those people who, reads the newspapers daily, who reads articles on the website daily, on the internet daily, sorry, who reads books and generally is well in tune with reading literature and material in general, I think you will be fine here. If you're not, there's still enough time to really get into reading and reading quickly. So like I said, you cannot take your own sweet time, right? So you have to read quickly, but at the same time, you have to make sure that you're understanding everything that you're reading. You cannot, there's no room for error here. If you read something and if you get the wrong idea out of it, you will get answers wrong in once you start attempting the questions. So that's reading comprehension for you. Then you have logical deduction, right? And that's divided by two sections. You have two logical reasoning sections. They broadly have the same sort of questions. It's not that it's nothing set in stone, but they broadly have the same sort of questions that I will be walking you through later. And critical thinking, in the sense that you have to approach every passage with a critical mindset. You have to analyze everything properly. These passages are usually of a very high quality and very high standard, so you cannot afford to again misinterpret any paragraph. So now I'm going to walk you through all of the four sections that are in the LSAT, and as I'm doing that, I will give you a look at the questions and how I think you should go about it, as well as some section-specific tips as well. So your first section is the analytical reasoning section. Then you have the two logical reasoning sections, and then you have the reading comprehension. So this is what a sample analytical reasoning question looks like. If this looks familiar to you, this will be because it is almost entirely similar to what CLAT has under logical reasoning. Um, so you have these sort of questions, right, where you have to draw diagrams based on information, and then they'll give you a set of questions, and then you answer them. So I'm not going to be solving this with you today. I just lifted this up from a sample LSAT question paper to give you an idea of the type of question that you can expect with analytical reasoning. So the thing about analytical reasoning is, so this is exactly like I said, this is exactly like how CLAT works as well. So it's not something radically different from what you're used to. So the thing about analytical reasoning is that you can't really study for it, right? It's not something like GK where you memorize stuff, or with maths where you memorize a bunch of formulae and practice and whatever, apply those formulae to different questions and whatnot. That's not how any of the sections for LSAT work, and it's definitely not how analytical reasoning works either. So certain tips I can give you from past experience for analytical reasoning is to refer to past LSAT India question sets and keep practicing them. Now the thing about this is you do not keep practicing them like a mindless drone, just sitting and solving those questions. You also evaluate them as you do that. So you look at where you're making mistakes, you look at how much time you're taking to solve those questions, you look at where your weak points are, where your strong points are, so you know exactly what to focus on with analytical reasoning. What areas are your strengths, what areas are your weaknesses. Check for accuracy. So this is again so these, like, analytical reasoning more than any other section, is something that um, if you get like a small fact wrong while reading the passage, there's a very good chance that you'll get like a lot of the questions wrong as well. Or the thing is, you'll pick those mistakes up later, and then you'll just waste time trying to rectify that mistake. So you have to read the passages very closely, and at the same time, you have to be quick with it. Um, so my strategy for AR was to just have a pencil and paper near me throughout, very easily reachable, and to jot down points as soon as I read important facts. I gave the entire thing a cursory glance at first, and then I began reading everything closely and noting down everything that I read. So this is to ensure that you don't really spend too much time overthinking, and you note down stuff bit by bit till it forms like a larger picture, right? And that's something which will eventually help you solve all of the questions. So there are two strategies for AR. You can either go question by question, in the sense that you look at each question and you solve each question like that. So like I said, like with this question, for instance, you look at this question and you solve this particular question according to the information given in the passage. Or you can paint the entire picture based on what you've understood by the passage, and then just tick the answers as you then move on to the questions. So those are the two strategies that you have. I personally preferred like painting the entire picture and then just ticking questions from the listing, because I felt that was easier and was less distracting for me. But try both methods, see what works for you, because that's ultimately what matters with the LSAT, and see what helps you get the best results as quickly as possible. Um, Right, so that's those are my tips for analytical reasoning. Then we have logical reasoning. As I said, logical reasoning is broadly the same as CLAT as well. It's not really something radically different. Um, so you have these small passages. You don't really have, those really long English RC type passages. You generally have these small passages, and you have to read them and deduce what logic they use. So generally, they test your logical deduction skills, they test your analogical skills, so whether you can realize what analogies they're drawing through the passage, whether you can make a sound conclusion based on facts. That's a bit tricky because sometimes people tend to assume things and just draw any conclusion based on their own assumptions. That's a big no-no with the LSAT. You have to base everything on the facts that they give you in the passage. So they generally test those skills, and I'm pretty sure it's very similar to what CLAT does, and it's not something that's completely different. It's just as with the LSAT is in general, it's just of a slightly higher quality in terms of the vocabulary and like the specificity of the questions that they have. So this is like a sample question again that I picked up from one of the sample LSAT question papers, just to give you an idea of what to expect with logical reasoning. So again, with logical reasoning, and I think you'll see this in comments throughout the LSAT, there's no memorization to be done here. There's nothing you can memorize for logical reasoning, for analytical reasoning, for any of those. You have to these are just they test your aptitude skills, right? And it's something you develop over time. And it's not really like I said, it's not something you can memorize first. So the best way to develop those skills, and especially with just 10 days left for you, you can't really do that much, right? So in these 10 days left for you, if you're not that great with logical reasoning, practice lots of logic questions. And the best resource I can give you for these logic questions is to look up past LSAT India papers, LSAT India or the American LSAT books as well. In fact, the American LSAT is of a higher quality than LSAT India as well. So you might get better practice if you look up LSAT, the US LSAT papers. So you go through those, practice all of those questions, practice any question you can get your hands on. I'm sure IMS has also given you a lot of resources to peruse through. Um, you practice all of those questions, and like I said, even with the previous section, don't practice it like a mindless drone. Evaluate your performance in these questions in your practice tests. Make sure that you know how much time you're taking. Make sure you know where your mistakes are, what your strong points are, so you don't have to worry about those too much. But make sure that you practice your strong points very well. You cannot afford to make any mistakes in this. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this for analytical reasoning as well, but what worked for me quite often when I took the LSAT was the process of elimination. So more often than not, a lot of the and I think even with the CLAT, a lot of the options are very confusing, right? So you don't really um, like a lot of the options, at least two options look very similar, and it's very hard to pick between those two options because they're both like a 50-50 situation. So what I advise you to do in those cases is to if you can't arrive at an answer by yourself, try the process of elimination. So you eliminate as soon as you come across anything that does not conform to what the passage sets out, you eliminate that option completely, because I guarantee you 100% there will be no option that does not conform with the no correct option that does not conform with the passage given to you. And if there is a mistake, then that's a faulty question and that's on them. So you eliminate any question as soon as you find anything that runs contrary to what you've read in the passage. And again, I stress on the fact that you have to base everything entirely on what you read in the passage. Do not bring in any outside information for the LSAT at all. You cannot afford to, say, if you read any factually incorrect information, you cannot afford to bring in your previous factual knowledge and say, oh, because of my knowledge, I feel that this option is wrong. No, base everything on the passage. So that and this process of elimination works across all sections. It works with logical reasoning, it works with analytical reasoning, and it works with reading comprehension as well. Um, right. Okay. So this is logical reasoning. Now, for reading comprehension, I've not attached any sample question because, for one, it's very long, those questions, like they're very long passages. And for another, I think all of us are very well acquainted with the method of reading comprehension by now. So, with the CLAT pattern change that occurred last year, I think, I'm not very sure, the pandemic has really ruined my sense of time. But with the CLAT pattern change, they introduced a lot more reading comprehension, right? So, you have these again, there's a distinction to be made here. The CLAT reading comprehension passages are not at the same quality as LSAT, right? The LSAT passages are much more complex. Their vocabulary is much higher. Their arguments are of a much higher quality, and the subject matter that they touch upon is also sometimes very esoteric and very abstruse. So, like you'll have topics like on really niche science fields. You'll have linguistics sometimes. You'll have social sciences maybe, um, and all of those. And like they'll be really niche sometimes, right? And you should not be thrown off by that because that's just the way our LSAT works. And everyone will be on a level playing field. I guarantee you this. I'm pretty sure there's no one who knows about that really niche corner in whatever field that the LSAC chooses to include in the LSAT this year. So it's all going to be you're all going to be on a level playing field. Just be very wary of while reading the passages. Do not confuse yourself because sometimes they're intentionally confusing, and they're like I said of a very high quality. So they're not really at 12th grade or quality. They're sometimes even higher, even law school level. Um, Type passages because essentially it does test your aptitude for law school, right? So read those passages very closely. You have to interpret them properly. As I mentioned before, answer only from the knowledge you've gleaned from the passage, no extra input or knowledge required. Again, the process of elimination, choose the most appropriate option. So even if you feel that none of the options are entirely correct in your estimation, more often than not, it is the student who takes the exam that is wrong. But in your estimation, if you feel that none of the options make sense to you, none of the options seem correct, just choose the one that is the most appropriate out of all of them. And 9 times out of 10, that will be the answer, if not 10 times out of 10. And some sources to additional sources. So, like I said, your main resource for the LSAT, for preparing for the LSAT, should be past LSAT papers or sample LSAT papers, LSAT US papers, past LSAT US papers, stuff like that. Stuff put out by LSAC. Those should be your primary go-to for preparing for the LSAT. But if on the off chance that you've exhausted all of those, or if you just want to brush up your skills without really testing them, if you know what I mean, then you can go through news sites like the New Yorker, the Atlantic, the Wall Street Journal, and the New York Times because they generally have again, um, at least some of the articles have a slightly higher quality in terms of both vocabulary and in terms of argumentation than Indian websites, Indian news sites, and they're good preparation essentially. And I highly recommend you get into the habit of reading these types of sites more regularly because they help you become so much more knowledgeable and um, so much better at so much better at reducing stuff and improve your analytical reasoning as well. So again, I stress on the fact that resources put out by LSAC should be your primary resource. These are just additional resources that I've dropped in for additional reading. And now we move on to general tips that I would give you. They're not really section specific, not even exam specific as such. So, for one, follow the procedure laid out by LSAT India in terms of verifying your computer. I'm not entirely sure how it works this year, but last year we had mock runs, dry runs, I think they were called then, a few days before the main exam. So they tested your computer. They made sure that it was remotely accessible by them to ensure that they can monitor you at all times through video and audio. Um, Follow all of those procedures. Do not skip on any of those because you feel they're unimportant. So something that this anecdote that I can share with you about a mistake I made with LSAT India last year was like it's something that I laugh about now, but something that really freaked me out last year. So when the guidelines first came out, they said that you have to have a Windows or something, some Windows or Linux PC or whatever for the exam. You cannot have a Mac because Macs generally tend to have higher security and whatnot. Um, and they strongly recommended you get a Windows PC to attempt the exam. And I not have a Windows laptop or PC with me, and I had to borrow one. And as you know, it was in the middle of the pandemic. People were not allowed to go out. The lockdown was much more severe. I did not know where to get one from, and I ended up getting one just a few days um, before the exam, and I did not test it out through the LSAT procedure. And the thing that so that was a big mistake on my part. So the thing was the laptop I got was one of those Surface laptops with two cameras, right? And when I on the final day of the exam, on the LSAT exam, when I logged in and everything, and once I began my test, the camera that turned on was of the rear camera, so it could not show my face at the time. And the exam had begun, the clock was ticking, etc. I was very nervous because I could not change the camera from at that point, and I thought I was done for essentially. But eventually it was sorted out because I called the people at LSAT and they helped. They were very helpful. But do not make the same mistake I did. Make sure everything of yours works properly. Make sure your computer is fast. Make sure it meets all the software requirements. Again, I realize not everyone may have the same or may not have access to the best technology, but make sure you have the best that you can get at your whatever at your level, essentially. Like, just make sure that it's the best in terms of the software that they require, the speed, and all of that stuff. So and right, so that's that. Another thing that I would strongly recommend to you is, whilst preparing for the LSAT, make sure that you do it at the same place where you're going to take the exam from on your final day. So what I did last year when I took the LSAT was, um, I practiced for the LSAT on my dining table because that was where I knew I was going to take the main exam from. Right, because it was well lit, it was connected to Wi-Fi, like it was at a place where it could connect well to the router. It was not a busy area of my house, so it did not have people just walking about in the background. And it was a place I was generally comfortable in, also because I generally do my studying over there as well. So pick a spot in your house. I realize not everyone has like the most noise free, the most convenient uh, spot in their house, but make the best with what you have, because the LSAT will penalize you if they hear any noise in the background, or if they hear anyone, or if they see anyone coming in front of the webcam, right? Because that may be indication that you are cheating in the exam. And unless it goes and there will be a review process, but I highly suggest you do not take the chance with LSAC and just bungle everything because you did not pick a good spot. And yeah, make sure the environment is neutral. Obviously, it cannot have like a bunch of stuff behind it that looks like any books or anything behind it that looks like you might uh, resort to that for cheating. I know it's a very stupid thing, but just make sure that it's the most neutral background possible. And yeah, that's it for my general tips, and I think that's about it for my uh, for the LSAT in general. Right. So my general referral sources that I would suggest you. So as I said, your main resource should be LSAC material, and this is very helpful for preparing for the LSAT. So in addition to providing sample questions, it also explains to you what LSAT looks for, what it tests in its aspirants, and what broad sort of categories they have in even within certain sections. So like I said, within logical reasoning, they'll test your ability to deduce stuff, they'll test your ability to derive sound conclusions, and all of these subcategories even within a broader category. So they've listed all of this in this PDF. It's a very helpful PDF. I highly suggest you go through it. Um, if you want, I can send the link to you in the chat box as well. But you can just copy this down and look up LSAT India Introductory Guide. You should get the PDF. And after you've exhausted LSAC material, gone through IMS resources, gone through past papers, sample papers, and stuff like that, maybe you can also take a look at Khan Academy. So it's not something I've used in my preparation. It's something some of my friends have used, and it helped them as well because they also scored really well in the LSAT with 90 percentiles and above. So they're generally catered towards LSAT US because again they are mostly a US centric ed education website. But as I said, the LSAT India is not radically different from LSAT US. There are many similar um, questions and categories in common, and you can look up Khan Academy for um, for extra stuff. Maybe if you're more of a video learner than reading stuff, this would be really helpful to you because Khan Academy, as I think a lot of you may know, they're generally of a very high quality. And if you're more of a visual and audio learner, this would be much more helpful than just going through pages and pages of material. So yeah, these are the two websites I have, and I think that's about it. Yeah, that's about it for my presentation. Um, I'll
Uh,
just,
yeah, hi Kiran. Would you like to take a few questions which people have
of course,
asked?
yeah, I have some time. Other questions in the chat box?
Yeah, yeah.
1 second. I'll just stop screen sharing as well. All right, yeah. So I'm open to questions or in the chat box. Uh, what is the ideal score to get into NMIMS? I'm not really sure about that because I didn't apply to NMIMS, but I can tell you what the ideal score is to get into Jindal. So Jindal generally looks for 70 percentile and above. It's really not extremely tough to get into Jindal. They also have this other program called Bachelor of Arts Legal Studies. That's a 3-year program, and that's, if I'm not mistaken, 60 percentile and above. But generally, like 65 to 70 percentile should be okay. I'm pretty sure most of you will get into. It's really something you don't have to worry about that much with getting into general if you want to. Can we crack LSAT in the remaining days? Yes, of course you can. If I'm not wrong, I think the LSAT is on the 25th or 26th, so that's around 10 days away. As I've mentioned before, I started really preparing for the LSAT with much less than 10 days, I think just a week or so. And I did reasonably well. As I said, I've got a 98.19 percentile, and I'm pretty sure if I could do it, all of you can do it as well. So do not think that you're too late for the LSAT. There is plenty of time available. In fact, one of my friends in Jindal who scored a 99 point something percentile, really concentrated just for a few days, like just for 3 or 4 days, and she still got an amazing percentile. So time really is no limit for the LSAT. You can start right away and you'll do just as well as anyone else. Mode is offline. I think it's online again this year, right? Not, you can just double check on that. Please tell, is there any negative marking in? No, there's no negative marking, as I mentioned in my presentation as well. Ideas for to get into. What does Jindal look for in a student? So the Jindal admission process, if you do not know that already, is purely based on the LSAT. They do not have an interview. Jindal Law School process does not have an interview at all. It's entirely based on your LSAT percentile. So if you do exceptionally well in the LSAT, say if you get, I think last year it was a 95 percentile and above. I'm not sure if they are going to change it this year. But if you get a 95 percentile and above, you're also eligible for a scholarship. Um, that, while not very substantial, it certainly does help ease the financial burden for a lot of people. Uh, what would be a good score on LSAT mocks and past papers if one is targeting a 95 percentile? So if I'm not wrong, I generally got above 75 out of 90. I'm not entirely sure of my marks, but I think anything above 70 would be pretty decent if you're looking for a 95 percentile. It's yeah, anything above 70, 75, 80 would be something you should look for if you're targeting a 95 percentile. And one more thing that I wanted to mention was right. So the LSAT does not give you a proper score, right? It gives you a bracketed score. So you do not get like 473 out of 480. You get a range of your score. So you'll get something like 470 to 475, and the scoring is between 420 to 480. Um, and I think 95 percentile and above should be something like 460 maybe. Or no, I'm not entirely sure, but something around that. Where are these past year's papers available? You can just look them up on Google. I'm sure you'll get access to them. IMS incorporates, I think, past year papers in their mocks as well. So you can also go through those. Go through the website I shared in my screen as well, and you'll find a lot of sample papers there. So what books can be used for the preparation of LSAT? So I didn't refer to any books as such because honestly, it's not really something you really need to look. You don't really need to prepare for books or prepare through books as much, but just, I mean, if you do have any reading comprehension books that IMS has provided, definitely go through those. They can help you in your final days of preparation. How do you complete RC in 35 minutes? I cannot complete the last passage and lose around 7 marks just because I couldn't complete it. Right, so this is something I did face while giving the mocks as well. It's not something that I not face at all, right? And especially struggle with analytical reasoning more than reading comprehension. But even with reading comprehension with some mocks, I did face this thing. So all I can tell you is brush up on your reading speed. That's really the most important thing with this. Read as much as you can over the next few days. Read quickly. Make sure that you're getting what you need to get out of this. And yeah, that's honestly all I can tell you for finishing the RC quickly. For the system test for my MacBook and the protractor approved it, but now the test is not starting and I don't have a. Yeah, so that's the same issue I had. So do not use a MacBook for the LSAT. They do not. It really does not go well with their whatever with their proctoring software that they have. Try and procure Windows PC from Windows laptop from somewhere, maybe your neighbors. Maybe you can also rent out Windows laptops and not super expensive. I think you'll get some like in a couple of in a few thousands from somewhere. You can rent it out, but definitely look for a Windows laptop for the LSAT. Do not attempt it through a MacBook. How to get into Jindal percentile extra activities, good 12th grade. So the Jindal 12th grade cutoff was something around 45 to 50%. So they do not really, as long as you pass your 12th standard, honestly, do not worry about getting into Jindal based on your 12th grade. This thing. Extra activities, none are required. As I've said before, your Jindal admission is solely based on your LSAT percentile. So just make sure you get a decent enough percentile and you're pretty much in Jindal. I mean, apart from the your life fees and everything.
All right, Kiran, thanks a lot for the lovely session. It was so amazing to see you speak and very exhaustive and very well explained. Guys, for those of you who are looking for scholarship, there's a Shamna the Bashir scholarship by LSAC. I think it's their official scholarship. We will be putting out a message on the Telegram group. Please join our Telegram group. I've shared the link with you. So do check out the scholarship. You can get access to that, and you can, of course, reduce some financial burden on your parents or however you are arranging your finances from. So thanks so much, Karen. It was amazing. The kind of session you took. It was precisely what we were looking for the students here, and I'm sure some of them would be joining you in Jindal.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I definitely hope
yeah,
that. Yeah, and
yeah.
also if y'all have any questions, y'all need to get like anything about Jindal, I can always. Is it fine if I drop my number on you and they can just reach out to me?
Not really. So what you can do is you can give me your number. You can write down your email ID if that's okay.
All right, sure. Yeah, I'll just do
Yeah.
that. Okay, so
Perfect.
that's email ID and
Right. Right. So thank you so much again, Karen.
Yeah, no problem at all. And all the best for the LSAT, everyone. I'm sure all of you will do well. And I look forward to seeing some of you in Jindal when physical campus resumes. But yeah, all the best, everyone. Good luck for the LSAT. And yeah, I'll just take your leave now.
Now we have Nachiket sir, who will be taking care of analytical reasoning.
So first of all, we have to understand that this test is not really a difficult test at all. Okay. In fact, it's one of the easier tests in the law. According to me, it's one of the easier tests in the law set of tests. Okay. Couple of things we have to know, couple of smart approaches we have to use, which is what I will be discussing with you today. Okay. So what I'll be doing is I'll be taking you through some strategies, and then what I'll be doing is we'll be solving questions, a couple of questions I want you guys to solve, and simultaneously I will show you how to solve it like the regular, boring, normal way, and how to solve it smartly, right? So you have to know both. Why do you have to know both? Because every single question in this exam cannot be solved smartly, but you should be able to identify when you can, right? With that, let's start the session. Paper pattern. Now, basically, one good thing about this, which the LSAT, which many people like, especially guys who don't like maths, they love it, is that there is no maths as such. There is reasoning and there is reading, right? Okay, can be online or offline. You have 4 sections: reading comprehension, logical reasoning, analytical reasoning. Yes. Okay. Now over here, logical reasoning also has questions from verbal reasoning. So one of the logical reasonings also has questions from verbal reasoning, right? And the number of questions is not fixed. It could be 22, 23, anywhere in that general bracket. Okay. Now, what is the catch? You have 35 minutes. Now, let's do a quick calculation here. 35 minutes for 22 questions. Okay. A little over a minute for a question. That, my friends, is the problem. Why is that a problem? Because you may just not have the time if you're not fast enough, if you're not able to, eliminate options quickly to attempt everything. Okay. Do you have to attempt everything? No, but that's a different story, right? Let's move on. Order of attempting the section is unpredictable. So why is this relevant? Why is this relevant? Because we don't know at the beginning of the test which section we may get first. Say, for example, I love to solve analytical reasoning. I think it's a lot of fun. I hate to solve RC. It's very boring. It's like I get really bored. So if my first section was RC, that 35 minutes of reading RC, I would get completely bored. I'd probably be like, half asleep or something. Okay. But it's my luck. I mean, if I'm really unlucky, I could start off with an RC. I could start off with a section I like. I could start off with a section I don't like. So we are not in any position to have any control on this. Also, it is not necessary that everybody will start with the same section. Say, for example, say a student here could start with RC, another student could start with LR. Okay, so is that in your hand? No, it's completely randomized. It's completely randomized. And that is a very, very important thing because you don't know what would be the word limit of the passage. There is no such thing. No such thing. They've not given any such limit. Okay, because you don't know whether you will start with your strength or with your weakness. Okay, now next point is most important. Credit is given for each correct answer. There is no penalty for wrong answers. Can you tell me what does this mean? Why does this matter to you as a student? What sense will you make of this? If there is no penalty for wrong answers, what will you do? Yeah, no negative marking. What will you do? Attempt everything. Yes, you will attempt everything. You should attempt everything. Leaving something is a very bad choice, even if you have not been able to solve it. Okay, if you look at the conditions, maybe you can guess, and if there is just no time, you should bluff. Okay, so all of that. So don't be like one of those good student that I will only do what I can do, rest I will not do because I didn't try it and I didn't solve it. It's not that era is over. In the LSAT, you have to attempt everything, or at least mark everything. Okay, test scores are reported on a percentile basis, so we have no way of saying what is how many marks for a correct answer and all of that. No way of knowing any of that. All you'll get is like essentially a percentile, and around 70 percentile plus is what you're looking at. analytical reasoning questions 1 by 2. So all questions are set based. Now, what do you mean by set based? Which means that you will have a set, you will have like one big like one big data will be dumped on you, thrown at you. And on that data, you will have 4 to 6 or 4 to 8 questions, but minimum you will have 4 questions. Now, why is that relevant to you? Because you should take some time and try to understand what set can be solved easily. See, typically what all these exams do, okay, not just this exam, all these exams, the first set that comes in any exam generally is very, very lengthy, not difficult, but lengthy. Why do they keep it that way? Generally, I'm not saying always, generally, because they want you to waste a lot of time on that set. Okay, then they want you to panic, and then they want you to go to the other sets which are easy and do them in a hurry. Okay, so you don't have to go in an order. You have to go in the way in which you find the sets easy. Maybe you should have some mental image. Okay, this is the kind of set I'm good at, this is the kind of set I'm bad at, and so on, right? By taking a couple of mocks. There's a single correct answer for each question. So you have only one right answer. You don't have like multiple right answers. Number of options can be 4 or 5. Okay, guys, you don't use a Q&A, please. The number of options per question can be 4 or 5. Okay. And so that also is not fixed. There have been years like whatever, where you have either 4 or 5. All sets are designed to measure students' ability to understand relationships and come to logical conclusions. Okay. So typically they don't want a lot of writing work or calculative work. They just want you to be able to, do what? They want you to be able to guess through, understand through, make some points in your head, right? Most of the questions can be solved by elimination. Maximum number, not all of them, but most of them can be solved by elimination. Okay. Now, analytical reasoning, what are the headlines? So basically, questions in this are of this type, like assignment, ordering, grouping, and spatial. What do you mean by assignment? Like, two parents P and O, their children must go to dentist on some days. So some father can go on some day, one kid has to go with one parent, this guy has to go to dentist 2, and somebody has to go to dentist 3, and stuff like that. Ordering, that is basically arrangement stuff or timeline stuff. Somebody came before somebody but left after somebody else. Or grouping, some people have to be grouped together according to a particular strength. Or spatial arrangement, like where you have to count number of roads, number of ways, and all that stuff. Okay, so none of this is actually math heavy. All of this is like plain logical, right? So having said that, we will go through some analytical reasoning questions from last year's sample papers so that we have an idea about the kind of beast we are facing, right? So what I want you guys to do, everybody, every one of you, is keep some pen and paper handy. Okay, keep pen and paper handy. Take time to try and understand the questions given to you, and then we'll solve them together. So to begin with, let's start. Each of the questions in this section is based on a set of conditions. In answering some of the questions, it may be useful to draw a rough diagram. Choose the response most accurately. Okay, so it may be useful to draw a rough diagram. It may not be useful to draw a rough diagram. Okay, now this is set 1. So whatever is given to you here, is basically what is the set, is the data. Now, what I want you guys to do, I'm not going to show you the questions first. I want you to tell me how many different arrangements are possible for this data. Take some time, think this through. Divisha, no, Ashish, correct. Vaibhav, correct. Guys, you got to read the question carefully. How can you have like 100 possibility? If the 100 possibility, you should not do the question in the exam. Nope, not 96, not 25. That's just so many possibilities. 120, no. Guys, are you guys even reading the question? Correct. Akshita, Ashish, many of whole host of you guys got it right. Kabir, Saurabh, Sneha, Akshat, correct. Okay, let me kind of do this the classical way. What do you mean by classical way? The way in, the kind of way we've learned in school. So it's a 5-digit code. It's a 5-digit code, which means it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, each digit occurs exactly once. the second digit has a value exactly twice of the first digit. So the second digit has to be what kind of number? Can you tell me? Second digit has to be even or odd? Second digit has to be even. Come on, you don't have to be Einstein to guess this because it is twice. So if the second digit is 2, the first digit is 1. Right? And what if the second digit is 4? What if the second digit is 4? What is the first digit? 2. Exactly. So this could be my possibilities, correct. The value of the third digit is less than the fifth digit. Now we have to kind of guess out. Now you have two cases. In the first case, the value of the third digit is less than the fifth digit. Look at this last condition. So third digit is less than the fifth digit. So 1 and 2 I have taken care of. If I put this as 0, I can put this as 3. If I put this as 0, I can put this as 4, correct? And if I put this as 3, I can put this as 4. Are you guys getting what I'm saying? Are you guys getting what I'm saying? The third digit is less than the fifth digit. The third digit is less than the fifth digit. So now let's list out the possibilities here. I could have 4 over here. I could have 3 over here. I could have 0 over here. Okay. Now, right here, what could I have? The third digit is less than the fifth digit. So I could have a 0 here. I could have a 1 here. I could have a 0 here. I could have a 2 here. I could have a 1 here. I could have a 2 here. So again, I have how many possibilities? Oh, not 2. This is 3. This is 3. Yes. I could have a 3 here. 3. You're right. So how many possibilities here? Again, I have these many possibilities, right? So now this question is completely solved. So you can make a note of this. If you want, you can take a screenshot of this. So what I've done here is, this is called the classical way of solving this. Okay, this is the classical way of solving this. What we have done is that we have solved everything. We have worked out every single thing. Okay, because we have worked out every single thing, we know for a fact that there is no other possibility. There are only these 6 cases, right? Now we can attack how many other questions are there. We can attack on the basis of what we saw in these 6 cases, right? So we'll try to do it that way. Let's take a look at this, at the questions. If the last digit of an acceptable product is 1. Now, one way to do this is that if the last digit is 1, right? If the last digit is 1, okay, how many cases in our given cases have last digit 1? How many cases have last digit 1? There's only one case which has last digit 1. Okay, if you looked at the cases we made, okay, so this has got to be 2 and 4. Okay, this has got to be 0 and 3. Only this case. It must be true that the first digit is 2, second digit is 0, third digit is 3, fourth digit is 4. So it must be true that the first digit is 2. It must be true that the first digit is 2. Difficult? Difficult? Got the logic? Are you getting the logic? So we basically, what have we done in this set? I have solved the set, because now why did I specifically choose to solve the set? Because there is not that many cases, right? There are not that many cases. There is just what? There is just 6 cases, and every question, how many of our questions there are, 4 or 8 or 6 or whatever, will be on the basis of those six sets. So now, how am I thinking of it from the point of view of an exam? When this set first comes in the exam, first thing I will do is I will go and check how many questions are there. Okay, I will go and check how many questions are there. If I saw that there are 8 questions and there are only 6 cases or 5 cases, I will not waste my time. I will not think twice. I will write down all the cases. Okay. However, there are some questions, if you see that there are only 3 questions, but there are 15 cases. That kind of question, either you don't solve it then, or you solve it using options. But so have you understood? Have you understood how to decide? Okay, so have you understood how to decide which question to solve by options and which question to solve by, properly solving it out? It depends on one thing. The most important thing is how many questions he's asking you. Okay, if he asks you 8 questions, suppose he asks you 8 questions or 5 questions or 6 questions, and there are only 5 or 6 cases. Okay, so just list them out. But when you're trying to solve it and you find out, no, there are questions, where you have like 10 cases, 15 cases. There are even cases. There was a question I was solving at the batch that day. It had 24 cases. I mean, 24 cases, if you're writing 24 cases, that itself will take like, 6-7 minutes. So that kind of a question, what I will do, I will use options. So that's the thing. You got to understand that when to blindly use options and when to use logic, right? So in this case, why would I jump to the questions? I mean, there is hardly any cases to solve. Let's take a look at the next one. Let's take a look. Let's see if we can use options here. Which of the following must be true about any acceptable product code? Now, to answer this question, do we need to list down the cases? You don't even have to list down the cases. Don't even list down the cases. See, you know that what is this whole Ramayan story? That 1 and 2 can be there, or 2 and 4 can be there. Okay, these are my startings. My starting is either 1 and 2 or 2 and 4. Now let me look at option 1. 1 appears before 2, appears in some position before 2. Not necessary, because over here in the second case, in case 2, 1 will appear after 2. So this is not true. See, also must be true means it has to be true in both cases. 1 appears in some position before 3. Doesn't have to be. Like in case 3, you could have like 3 in the end and 1 like, or 1 in the end and 3 after that. So even this doesn't have to be true. Okay, 2 appears before some position in digit 3. Okay, 2 appears before digit 3. Is that true? Has to be, because see, whatever happens, 3 will come here after 2. And here also 3 will come after 2. Which means that whatever happens, 3 is going to come after 2. Which means whatever happens, 3 is going to come after 2. Which means those of you guys who thought that writing the whole thing is a waste of time, you can do this just by looking at the options. So directly I can conclude that option 3 is correct. Yeah, correct. Hello everyone. Okay. If the third digit of an acceptable product code is not 0, which one of the following must be true? Which one of the following must be true? Okay, the third digit of an acceptable product code is not 0. So if the third digit is not 0, so first of all, I can have 1 and 2. Third digit is not 0, or 2 and 4. Third digit is not 0. Now you know that this is less than this. So if this is not, can the last digit be 0? Can the last digit be 0? Last digit can never be 0 because third digit is less than that. So 0 has to come here and 0 has to come here. What am I left with? 3 and 4. And here what am I left with? 1 and 4. Now 1 and 3. Sorry, 1 and 3. 1 and 3. Right? So now let's answer the question. Which of the following must be true? The second digit of the product code is 2. No, it's not necessary. The third digit of the product code is 3. Well, it's in one case, not in the other case. The fourth digit has to be a 0. The fourth digit has to be a 0. So which option? Option C. Yes, guys, yes, this is an actual LSAT question. This is not an IMS question. Actual LSAT question. Right? Do we get this? With me on this? Easy? Yeah, cool. So let's take a look at the next one. Fourth, any of the following pairs could be the third and fourth digits respectively of an acceptable product except questions around this level of difficulty. Yes, questions are around this level of difficulty, plus or minus 10% here or there. They're asking you what is possible, like third and fourth digit. So they're asking you third and fourth digit. Okay, so you know what's the funny thing here? I have got all answers. I've got all answers A, B, C, D from you, from your batch. Like many have said A, many have said B, many have said C, many have said D. Okay, cool. Let me analyze. All right. Hello everyone. So how am I going to go? How am I going to go about doing this, right? So let me put the third digit as 0 and 1. So this has to be 2 and 4. This has to be 3. This is possible. If the third digit is 3 and 4, this has to be 1 and 2. This has to be 0. This is not possible. Why is this not possible? Because then this is not more than 3. This is not more than 3, correct? This is not more than 3. Or you can refer to the cases we've made. The fifth digit has to be more than the third digit. So option 2 is not possible. So option 2 is not possible. I didn't even have to go more. I didn't even have to check more. Because you know that the fifth letter, fifth digit has to be more than the third digit. Exactly. Okay. So it's not a very difficult set at all. Which one of the following must be true about any code? So this is a bad question. Why is this a bad question? Because about any acceptable code. So if I were to think from the point of view of the exam, in the exam, I will have to actually list down all the codes. Think a bit about it. Okay. Take a minute. All right. So what's a good way to do this? If you look at the table we had drawn, right? So unfortunately for this, you are going to have to reproduce the table. Like there is no other way. I can have 1 and 2 and 0, 3, 4, 0, 4, 3 and 1 and 2, 3, 0, 4, 2 and 4, 0, 1, 3, 2 and 4, 0, 3, 1 and 2 and 4, 1, 0, 3. Now let's answer. There is exactly one digit between 0 and 1. No, like in this case, they are next to each other. In this case, this is not true. There is exactly one digit between 1 and 2. No. In the first 3 cases, they are next to each other. There are at most 2 digits between 1 and 3. No, like in this case, in the second case, there are 3 digits in between. So even this is not true, which means what has to be true? The last one has to be true. So the last one has to be true. Now that we've done this, we've taken some time. I want you guys to tell me in the exam, how much time should you solve this one set in 5 questions? How much time do you think you should solve it in? How much time do you think is fair for a set like this? Yeah, I would say maximum 5 to 6 minutes. Maximum 5 to 6 minutes. Maximum. Like, yeah, I mean, absolute maximum. Yeah, guys, use the chat, please. Don't use the Q&A. If we have 6 options, you will not have 6 options. You will have 4 or 5 options. You could have 6 questions. Isn't D wrong? There are at most 2 digits between 2 and 4. No, it's not wrong. At most 2 means 2 or less. See, at most 2 means what? 2 or less. Option D is correct. In the third case, of course, it holds true because there are at most 2 digits. At most 2 digits means what? Either 2 digits or 1 digit or 0 digit. Akshita, don't go by that timer, like 8.5 minutes, because the sets, yeah, at most means even 0 spacing is fine. Because there will be some sets which are easy and some sets which are not so easy. So that, like, you can't go with a timer like a robot. Every perspective I will take 8.5. It won't work. You'll have to improvise. You'll have to judge on the basis of the question. Otherwise, your judgment is not on the basis of questions at all. All right, cool. Let's move. Now another one. I want everyone to take a screenshot of all these conditions. So first of all, there is a lot of stuff to read. Exactly 3 films, Gambhir, Haseen, Lehenga, are showing during a film club's what? Festival on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Each film is shown at least once during the festival, but never more than once on a given day. On each day, at least one film is shown. Films are shown one at a time. The following conditions apply. So you don't even know. Now the problem here is you don't even know which day what will show how many times. So you have like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. On Thursday, no film is shown. Haseen is shown, but no film is shown after it. So the last is Haseen. Oops, sorry. Last is Haseen. This means it's the last. On Friday, either Gambhir or Lehenga, but not both is shown and no film is shown after it. So you have either Gambhir or Lehenga, but no film is shown after it. On Saturday, either Gambhir or Haseen is shown and no film is shown after it. Which means, can you tell me how many films can I show on Thursday? How many films can I show on Thursday? I can show all 3 films. No, I can show all 3. I can show. So the problem with Thursday is that I can show all the 3 films, which means I could have what? I could have first Gambhir, then Lehenga, then Haseen, or first Lehenga, then Gambhir, then Haseen. So there are just 2 cases here itself. On Friday, how many films I can show? 2. I can show only 2 because I cannot show both G and L. I can show only one of them. I can show only one of G and L, right? I can show only one of G and L, which means I can show only G, only L, H and G, or H and L. So 4 cases here. Similarly, if I were to look at Saturday, how many films can I show? Maximum I can show 4 films. So I can show L and G, L and H, only G and only H. So there are like way too many cases. Like how many cases? Many cases for Thursday, many cases for Friday, many cases for Saturday. You have to multiply all. You'll get like some 12, 16 cases, 18 cases maybe. I don't know. So my point is that look at this question type. Am I going to list down everything? No. Now take a screenshot of these conditions. Take a screenshot of these conditions. Now we will understand, or now we will see how to solve questions using what? Conditions, and not using final arrangements, right? Cool. Solve this. Okay. Let's try to find out what is wrong with every option. Let's try to find out what is wrong with every option. Take your time. It's okay. Take your time. Can I show the previous slide once? Sure, why not? Okay, now this could get tricky. Let's look at option A. Thursday Lehenga, then Haseen, Friday Lehenga, Saturday Haseen. Can you tell me, is something wrong with option A? What is wrong? Is there something wrong with option A? There is no G, Gambhir. The movie Gambhir is not shown in option A. There is no Gambhir. Every movie has to be shown at least once. So option A is definitely wrong. Let me look at option B. Okay. What is wrong with option B? Identify what is wrong with option B. It clearly says that on Friday, either Gambhir or Lehenga, but not both will be shown. Here G and L are both shown. Only one of them can be shown. So option B is also absolutely wrong. Option C, Thursday ends with Haseen, Friday ends with Lenga, Saturday Lenga and Gambhir. There doesn't seem to be anything wrong. Gambhir, yeah, but I don't know. Let me check out the last option. Let's see what is wrong with option D. What is wrong with option D? Anything wrong with option D? Gambhir, then Haseen, then Lenga. Haseen has to be last. Haseen has to be last. So the first condition is not satisfied, right? On Thursday, who has to be last? Read the condition. Who has to be last on Thursday? Haseen. So this is, see, Gambhir, then Haseen, then Lenga. This is wrong. So what is my answer? My answer is option C. My answer is option C. So look how I've solved this. I have solved this question by removing options, by looking at the conditions and removing options. Got this? Got this? Cool. Now try the second one. Both L and G can't be played at the same day. L and G can't be played at the same day. Where? Read the condition carefully, my friend. Which day? Look at that. L and G can't be played together on Friday, which is why Friday is gone. But they're not played here on Friday. Yeah. Come on. Work this out. Use options. Which of the following cannot be true? What a straightforward question. 1 second question. 1 second. If you're attentive, you will answer this in like a second. First of all, read the question carefully. Which of the following cannot be true? Cannot be true means is 100% not true. There's not even any possibility that it is true. All right. Haseen is the last film to be shown on each day. Can that be true? Can the first condition be true? First condition can't be true because on Friday, which is the last film, it's either on Friday, it is either G or L. So first condition itself is not true. Haseen can't be the last film on Friday. So this is not true. So my answer is option A. Nothing doing, like no, you don't even have to go ahead. First thing only can't be true. Because on Friday, the last has to be either G or L. Yes. Okay. If Lenga is never shown again during the festival, what about C? 1 second. Why should I go to C? First one can't be true. Gambhir is shown second on each day of the festival. Yeah, that is possible. On the first day, you have all three movies. On the second day, Gambhir is last. And on the Friday also, Gambhir is second or last. Yeah. If Lenga is never shown again during the festival, once Gambhir is shown, which one of the following is the maximum number of film showings that could occur? So here you will have to do some calculation. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. See, Lenga is never shown once again during the festival once Gambhir is shown. Okay. So where will you want to put Gambhir? In the beginning or in the end? Will you want to put Gambhir in the beginning or in the end? In the end, because if you put Gambhir in the beginning, what will happen? Then you can't use Lenga. So I will put Gambhir in the end. So I gave you a very big clue. Try to put Gambhir in the end. Tell me what all. So which first on Thursday, who is last? Now come on, I gave you a clue. Okay, Manas, correct. Kashish, correct. I'm not going to say who's correct or not. Okay. Aditi, correct. Akshat, check. Jamin, correct. Okay, so in the first day, who's at the end? On Thursday, the last person has to be Haseen. Will I put Gambhir? I will not put Gambhir in the first show. Why will I not put Gambhir? Because if I put Gambhir, I can't put Lenga. So I will have to put Lenga here. In the next day, on Friday, who can come in the end? On Friday, who can come in the end? Either G or L. But why should I put G? I will put L. I will put L. So I will have to put H over here. And before, yeah. And now I will put G over here and I will put L. I will put G over here in the end. No, because on Saturday, who can be in the end? On Saturday, who can be in the end? On Saturday, G or H can be end. But if I put, yeah, exactly. I can't put more than, so exactly. So how many movies can I have? I can have 6 movies. So I can have 6 movies. Option D. Got this? Of course, I will try to put G in the end, right? Because if once I put G, I can't put L. So why should I put it before? Exactly. Try the next one. All 3 films are shown at least once. Yeah, this film is shown, this film is shown, this film is shown. Every film is shown. It is not violating any condition. Try the next one. Now this is where you have to actually, no, you'll have to make a table here. It's kind of lengthy. Gambhir is shown thrice, Haseen is shown twice, and Lenga is shown once. Okay. Okay, so we gotta make a table. Okay, so if Gambhir is shown exactly 3 times, Haseen is shown exactly twice, and Lenga is shown exactly once. So first of all, we know that Haseen is shown exactly twice. Okay, so let's try and understand how this is going to be. This is going to be like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Who has to come on the end on Thursday? On Thursday, who has to come in the end? Haseen has to come in the end. Now, the first 2 places can be split, right? It can be Lenga and Gambhir or Gambhir and Lenga, right? It can be whichever order. It can be LGH or GLH. Now, on the second day, Haseen is come exactly twice. So Haseen will have to come on which day? Haseen will have to come on Saturday. So which means you have Gambhir and Lenga here. No, 1 second. Let me just yeah. Now, what about Friday? Who ends on Friday? Who ends on Friday? Gambhir ends on Friday. So Haseen, we have Haseen twice. So it is going to be like this. And on Saturday, who ends again? Gambhir, because I have already I have Gambhir 3 times, right? I have Gambhir 3 times exactly. So this has got to be like this. So this can be a possibility. What else can I have as a possibility? Thursday, Friday, Saturday. What if I give every day 2 shows? So Thursday I can have Gambhir and Haseen. Friday I could have Haseen and Gambhir, and Lenga and Gambhir, because I need 3 Gambhirs. This also could be a possibility. So I have so many cases. Now, all 3 films are shown on Thursday. Is it necessary that all 3 films are shown on Thursday? No. It is happening in this scenario, but it's not happening in this scenario. So this doesn't work. Exactly 2 films are shown on Saturday. Exactly two films are shown on Saturday. That also doesn't work. Haseen and Gambhir are both shown on Friday. Haseen, Gambhir. Now that is holding out to be true in both cases. Gambhir is the only film shown on Saturday. That's false. So my answer is going to be option C. Option C. So this one question would take like 1.5 minutes. All right. 10th one. Lehenga is shown exactly. Oh, is it the same thing? No, it's a different condition. So now Lehenga is shown 3 times. Haseen is shown twice and Gambhir is shown once. So if Gambhir is shown once, it's kind of easy, right? Yeah. No, it's not the same thing. Oh, you got to work this out again. Then which of the following is complete and accurate list of films that could be the first film on Thursday? Correct. Yeah, Josh, correct. Gorvi, correct. Okay, correct. So let's start. Again, let me make the table. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So I can have Gambhir only once. So I could have like Gambhir Lehenga and Haseen, or Lehenga, Gambhir and Haseen. These cases. Okay, on Friday, I could have, has to end with Lehenga. So I have to have Haseen and Lehenga. Saturday, or I could have, what other possibility? Thursday, Friday, Saturday. On Thursday, I could have Lehenga and Haseen, has to end with Haseen, but I need 3 of Haseen. No, I need 3 of Lehenga. So this has to be Haseen and Lehenga, and this has to be Lehenga and Gambhir, 1 of Gambhir. Yeah. So all of these are my possibilities, right? And which one of the following is a complete accurate list of the films that could be the first film show on Thursday? Could be Gambhir or Lehenga? Lehenga, which means my answer is it could be either Gambhir or Lehenga. Definitely is not Haseen. Anyway, Haseen can't be first on Thursday. Yeah. Actually, I didn't have to draw this case also. It could, because I could have L and G, G and L in whichever orders. So which means it has to be option number D. Okay, got this. So according to me, now if you think about this, this is a slightly more complicated question in terms of arrangement than the one we've done before. But nonetheless, it's an easy question. For a question like this, ideally you should not take more than 8 minutes, 7-8 minutes, right? Okay, now let's talk about some preparation strategy. First of all, solve every sample paper released by LSAT India within the given time limit. So most people, at least my students, what I've seen that they do is that they sit at home and, or maybe sometimes even in the class, they don't put a timer, they just randomly start solving everything. Okay, that will not help you, because unless you know how to do this in pressure, unless you know how to stay calm in pressure, how to pick sets in pressure, how to understand what to solve, what not to solve, it's not going to help you here. You have to do this in that stipulated time. This is the most important thing. Okay, practice sets based on assignment, ordering, grouping, spatial arrangement, and all that. Yes. Okay. So you can find this in your books. You'll have a lot of sets on this in your books. Okay, in your workbook and all that. Please practice these. Now, test taking strategy. Read the data provided carefully. Obviously, read. So basically, read the data, see how many cases are there, and see how many questions are there. Then select. List down the constraints and draw a table or a picture if required. Okay. Spend 2 minutes in understanding the data and making it. Okay. You may not even need 2 minutes, actually, maybe less than 2 minutes, but whatever. use elimination method like I've shown you. Like for this last set, we use elimination method. We didn't list down everything unless necessary. Okay, attempt all questions of a set before moving to the next set. Yes. So if you're at a set and you spend 2-3 minutes and you're not making any headway, attempt everything anyways, and only then move on. Don't see, it will never happen that you will have time to come back and think again and all that. All that stuff will not happen here. This is not that kind of an exam. So just attempt it and go on. With 35 minutes and 4 to 5 sets, each set can be allotted 7 to 8 minutes on an average. Yes. But again, it's not set in stone. Like there are sets which you can do in 5 minutes. There may be sets you can do in 10 minutes. I would not keep, like I'm not going to be very set in that, like I have to do this in this much time. Okay, so these are our toppers of last year. Kiran, you already met. Oh, there are a couple of others in case you want to have a look, right? And upcoming sessions. Now, this is important. We'll have a test discussion session with you. So tomorrow you have like a Powerplay, LR and RC. On Thursday, you have a mock test, open mock from 3 to 9. You can take it anytime. On Friday, we'll be discussing your test from 6:30 to make more practice LSATs available on the IMS portal. Okay, I'll keep that. I'll pass on the message. So on Friday, we'll be discussing your LSAT. So Friday is going to be like a LSAT discussion, right? And you will be shared. The Zoom link will be shared with you all, right? And let's stay connected. Okay. So obviously you want to know more about the IMS crash course in 2021. You can just contact the nearest center or reach out to enquiry@imsindia.com with your name, location, phone number, etc. Bye everyone.